The Kannada Studies Centre at Bengaluru University has found serious issues in the KPSC preliminary re-examination for 384 KS posts. Around 45 to 50% of the questions had errors in translation. The Karnataka State Dalit Graduates Association, Bengaluru, has asked the government to cancel the results. They suggest either reconducting the exam or allowing all candidates to take the main exam in a 1:100 ratio as was done before 1997. Some of the errors included using the term chemical instead of pesticide in Kannada and leaving terms like bioremediation untranslated. These mistakes made it hard for Kannada medium candidates to understand the questions. Poor sentence structure, outdated language, and unclear meanings added to the confusion. In districts like Ramnagara, mismatched OMR sheets were issued at some exam centers, raising doubts about fairness and accuracy. To ensure fairness for rural and Kannada medium candidates, the KPSC is urged to address these issues. The association insists on prioritizing Kannada in future exams to uphold its dignity and prevent such problems.
ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ 29th 2024 ರೀಸೆಂಟಾಗಿ KS ಎಕ್ಸಾಮನ್ನು ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡ್ ಮಾಡಲಾಯಿತು, ಪ್ರಿಲಿಮ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್. ಬಟ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ರಾಂಗ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಮೇಜರ್ ಎರರ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಸೀನ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ದೆರ್ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಕ್ವಶನ್ that is related to judicial review, but in Kannada it should be ನ್ಯಾಯಿಕ ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ, but they have given ಸಾಯಿಕ ವಿಮರಂ ಲೋಕನ ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ something. That means it was not in Kannada, I think it was in Sanskrit. That means most of the questions are wrong and the students were in tense mode during examination, but they were not ಅಷ್ಟು ಸುಲಭವಾಗಿ ಕ್ವಶನನ್ನು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕಾಗ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸಿಗಂತೂ ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಸಮ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ದಟ್ OMR ಬಂಡಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 5,000 ಆರ್ 6,000 ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೂ ತುಂಬ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ರೀಸನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ರೀ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆರ್ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ರೈಸ್ the mains ratio from 1:15 to 1:100. ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು KPSC ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ನ ಈ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಲೇಮ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸನ್ನು ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಯಾರು ಅಂದರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಈಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಉತ್ತರ ಪ್ರದೇಶ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಭಾಷೆ ಬರದೇ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ನ ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್, ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗಳು ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದರ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಗಳಿದೇನೋ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಯಾವ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಗಳು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ ಭಾಷಾಂತರ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಿಭಾಗ, ಒಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ರೀಸನ್ಗೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು KPSC ರಿಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಬರಲಿ ಅಂತ.
ಸರ್, ನಿಮಗೇನು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅಫಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂಥ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಜನ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕರೆಸಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ನನಗನ್ನಿಸ್ತಂಗೆ ನೀವು ಈವನ್ ಗೂಗಲಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೆಟ್ಟದಾಗಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಷನ್ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವೀಗ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ತೇಜಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೈ ನೇಮ್ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಇಂಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೀಚಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗಳು ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ತದ್ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ನೊಂದೇನು ಅಂದರೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಡಯಾಗನಲ್, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಬರೋ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು, ಈಗ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಮಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಿ ಬರೀತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದರೆ, ಈಗ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ತಪ್ಪು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸಿದ್ರೆ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದಾದರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಫೈನಲ್, ಸೊ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರೀಗ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲೇ ಬರೀತಿದ್ರು. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆಯುವಂಥ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಏನಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕನ್ನಡ ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ನೆಲ ಜಲ ನಾಡು ನುಡಿ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಅವ್ರ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಅಥಾರಿಟಿಯನ್ನು, ಒಂದು ಕಮಿಷನ್ ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರುವಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವಮಾನ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುವಂಥ ಅವಮಾನವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸಹಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಈ ಒಂದು ನಾವು ಮರುಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಅಥವಾ 1:100 ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡನ್ನು ಇಡ್ತಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸರ್, ನಾನು KPSC ಆಸ್ಪಿರೆಂಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು, KPSC ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟಿ ಕೂಡ ಹೌದು. ನನಗೆ ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕವಾಗಿ ನನಗೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು, ನಾನು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಬುಕ್ಕನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಅಭ್ಯರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೂ ತಪ್ಪಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಸರಿಪಡಿಸೋಕೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಮ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಏನೇ ಆಗಲಿ ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯ ಅದೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಫೈನಲ್ ರೆಕ್ಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರತಿ ಬಾರಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ 1 ವರ್ಷ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
So we are talking about KPSC Gazetted Preparationers exam which happened on 29th of December 2024. That was about 15 days ago. Now this exam was conducted because there was mistake in the previous exam what they had conducted, which was on 27th of August 2024. Now what the government has done here is, when they have set the question paper, there is a mistake in the question paper itself, in the sense that whatever questions have been said in Kannada, there's complete mistake. About 59 questions have been wrong here. Anybody who studied in complete Kannada medium will have difficulty understanding the questions, and then they have to understand the question in the examination pressure, and then they have to write the exam also there. So that's been a problem for the students. There is another problem which has happened is there were OMR mismatch. So basically what happens right now is that all the students' OMR has been pre-marked, and these pre-marked OMRs are sent to students, and there's nothing for the students to fill in. So let's assume that I am a candidate and my OMR will have a specific number, and this specific number will already be printed on the OMR. But this time what has happened is the OMR which are supposed to come to me has gone to another person who's probably sitting in Bijapur. Now I don't know who's written my paper, who's answered in my paper. I am writing in somebody else's paper. So now what happened was the government had sent DCs in certain districts, which was in Ramnagar, which was in Kolar and in Bijapur. And what the DCs told was that, they said, you guys manage with this, write your OMR number in pen, and we'll ensure that there will be fair evaluation of your papers. Now, the biggest question that comes here is, how can anybody guarantee, especially when there is a lot of confusion about the whole KPSC itself, it's marred with a lot of, we are unsure about if there is corruption or not, but then people do speak that there is corruption. And we cannot talk about it because we really don't know if it's happening in front of us. But then when there is confusion amongst people itself, now, if somebody writes their OMR number in a pen, what is the guarantee that there will be fair evaluation, and what is the guarantee that rightful candidates will get in? If somebody is going to manually evaluate the papers, that's the second question that we have. The third question, what we are telling is, we had requested previously also to the government saying it will be easier for students if in case they set the question paper in Kannada first and then translate it to English. Then what happens? These mistakes that come in paper will be completely avoided. But what's happening here is maybe because of lack of a controller. The controller is the main person who identifies the question which is supposed to go in for the exam. Maybe because there's a lack of a controller who is from Karnataka itself or who understands Kannada, they might be forced to set the paper in English and then they are translating it to Kannada. Now, when they're translating, KPSC has themselves accepted that they don't have a translation department and they get guys from other departments to help them with translation. Now, if you don't have your own expert people to translate the papers, how can you be sure before releasing the paper that the questions are correct? Now, 60 questions is not a joke. 60 questions amounts to about 30% of the complete paper being wrong. And when you call up KPSC and when you tell them that, there's a problem like this, the KPSC's response is, you people are aiming to be gazetted probationers, so you should be able to read English also if in case you do not understand Kannada. We understand if it's 1 or 2 questions, you have 2 hours to answer 100 questions, you have 4 hours to answer 200 questions. If it was 1 or 2 questions, we can accept that, we can go through it. But when the 30% of the paper is wrong, how can they expect a student in that kind of a pressure environment that he'll read Kannada, then he'll realize that there is something wrong in Kannada, then he'll go back to read English, and English is not his primary language, so he struggles to understand there also, again come back here. So that's a whole lot of running around hope for that. If in case they say that English was final, then I don't think so there's any necessity for them to give Kannada at all. If in case they go by that statement saying you have to answer only looking at English, doesn't make sense to have Kannada at all. That's our request. So we are telling that a lot of students have been disadvantaged, especially those who have written in Kannada medium. So we need, justice done to them. And the way we look at justice is they have to allow everybody to write exams who has given preliminary examinations. That's it. I wrote in English, but my papers have been good. It's not just about us, because we are teachers also. We teach students, and we do understand that a lot of this thing. So last time what happened was, people are telling that English people have had benefit with this paper. I definitely agree with it. It was an easy paper. I wouldn't say it's a difficult paper. But if anybody is writing this exam in pure Kannada, then he definitely will have a problem with it. And we are it's not just about us, because I think a lot of genuine candidates who are to clear, they are having difficulties. And we realize that the difficulty is not because of their knowledge, what they have. It is because of the paper which was there. So we request the government to look into this matter and solve this matter at the earliest.